Good Wednesday afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchek. Let's take a live look from our nation's capital today, where tonight Congress will reconvene to vote on an amended bill ending the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. That bill is expected to pass, but it'll be tight. House Democrats, still unhappy with the deal hatched by moderates in the Senate, are telling their members to vote no. If every Democrat votes no, Republicans can only afford 2 defections. If the deal does pass, President Trump says he will sign the bill. While the shutdown appears to be ending, a bottleneck at U.S. airports likely won't anytime soon. More than 30 flights canceled today at MSP, part of the thousands axed nationwide. Tom Costello joins us with what that could mean for the upcoming travel season.
Good day. So we have seen some improvement with air traffic control staffing over the last few days after the president threatened to dock controllers' pay if they didn't show up to work, and also appealing to their patriotism. However, under the FAA ordered flight cuts, we had 6% of flights canceled yesterday, 8% canceled today, affecting the 40 busiest airports. That includes today Chicago O'Hare, Denver, Atlanta, leading the list of delays and cancellations today. No surprise, going on now to Houston, Seattle, LaGuardia, Boston, Phoenix. It's going to be like this through the day. And oh, by the way, 12 airports also are not taking general aviation, private flights. It's all about today what the House does. Does the House vote to go along with the Senate and reopen the government? If that happens, the FAA says it would eventually give the green light, allowing a resumption of normal flight operations. And the airline saying it would take a couple of days for them to get back to a full schedule. And it should be in time for the beginning of the Thanksgiving rush, which is supposed to start next Friday. If the House doesn't vote to open up the government, then according to the DOT, we might see mass cancellations. According to DOT Secretary Sean Duffy, we could have 10% of flight cancellations this weekend, and then a real disruption for Thanksgiving travel again in about 8 to 9 days. So it's all right now hinging on what the House does, as we're watching flight delays and flight cancellations today. Again, more than we have seen typically this time of year, but air traffic control staffing is right now getting back to normal, at least in this government shutdown world. Back to you.
THC seltzers, the beverages that have grown in popularity as an alternative to alcohol over the last several years, may soon be banned. A provision in the bill that would end the government shutdown effectively bans THC products derived from hemp. And as Lou Raguse reports, that has craft breweries in Minnesota scrambling.
For Kevin Hilliard,
so we make 5 milligram variety packs.
Co-owner of Insight Brewing Company, Flavor Pixels aren't just his top seller.
In our world, about 62% of our revenue comes from hemp-based THC.
The ability to sell the THC seltzers kept the business afloat after the COVID-19 pandemic.
I think that this was absolutely critical for Insight Brewing Company to survive.
But craft breweries like his are at risk if Congress effectively makes hemp-based THC beverages a federally illegal product.
The initial response was anxiety.
In 2018, when Congress passed the Farm Bill, it legalized hemp-derived products, allowing for the creation of seltzers like Flavor Pixels. But a letter signed by 38 attorneys general, including Minnesota's Keith Ellison, asked Congress to close what they call a loophole that allowed for, quote, Frankenstein THC products that get adults high and harm and even kill children. While those concerns stem from illicit gummies that appeal to kids, industry experts say the law change would also affect THC beverages.
Seltzers usually come in cans with 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams of THC, but this new federal law will limit the amount to 0.4 milligrams.
You don't feel anything at 0.4 milligrams, which is part of the reason why they chose it.
Bob Galligan of the Minnesota Craft Brewers Guild says the federal law would decimate the industry. He says breweries would no longer be allowed to sell products out of state. All aspects of their production and distribution would have to occur in Minnesota, and they'd have trouble finding banks willing to offer loans for a federally illegal product.
Would some of them potentially go out of business because of this?
Absolutely, yeah.
I feel cautiously optimistic.
While Kevin hopes the state provides them a way to pivot their business under the new rules.
Now, if the House passes this with the current language, the new law would go into effect in a year. While Congress works on ending the shutdown, new details on the alleged relationship between President Trump and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein are coming to light. According to emails released by a House committee investigating Epstein, President Trump, quote, knew about the girls that were abused by Epstein and spent hours with one of the victims. That's according to an email from Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, back in 2011. The emails are part of a larger data release from the Epstein estate. In a statement, the White House says Democrats on the Oversight Committee are selectively leaking emails to create a fake narrative and smear President Trump. New this afternoon, the alleged assassin of Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, and their dog Gilbert was back in federal court. Vance Belter is also charged with shooting State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. These are images from his last court date. Authorities met today to discuss Vance Belter's case involving 6 federal charges, including murder and stalking. We learned federal prosecutors still have not made their recommendation to the Department of Justice on whether they should seek the death penalty. That means we won't know that answer until his next federal court date in February. Belter has pleaded not guilty to those charges. Right now, Target is helping shoppers trying to stretch their budgets this holiday season. The company says it's lowering prices on thousands of groceries and household goods. The Minneapolis-based retailer says it's going to slash prices on everything from pantry staples to baby items. The price cuts are set to take effect later this month. Now, aside from Target, Cub Foods also announced it's reducing prices by 40% on more than 30 grocery items. This week, we honored veterans on Veterans Day. And while our country has its issues, like our government shutdown, we still do live in a free and unique land defended by those who choose to serve it. So Gordon Severson went out to chat up local veterans about the state of our union right now.
When you ask a veteran about their service, most will gladly tell you their story.
Did Air Force ROTC at the University of Iowa.
I was drafted in January of 1968 into the Army.
Their service and sacrifice.
5 deployments, 4 were combat deployments.
Ask them about politics.
I'm not going to get into the politics of Democrat and Republican.
And you'll see many wave the white flag.
I don't really want to get political.
We stay out of politics completely.
They would rather not debate the issues, unless the issue is elected leaders who can't get along.
The divisions are terrible. It just boggles the mind that they can't work together.
It's been probably 2 decades since Congress would actually talk, sit down and have a meal, and negotiate.
There is even more frustration when that division leads to a government shutdown that affects millions of Americans, including veterans.
With the SNAP program, we had hundreds of veterans not getting that.
Commander Gary Carlberg says many of those veterans came here to the VFW in White Bear Lake looking for help.
You just got evicted from your home. The county service office with the shutdown isn't open. Where did you go?
We take care of people. If you walk in that door of that VFW as a veteran needing help, we'll give it to you.
Because when people need help, they answer the call, even when the government they fought to defend is shut down.
There's a lot of frustration with that.
But despite our country's flaws, there is still a sense of pride.
We've got some challenges, but it's still a great country.
Greatest country in the world.
And an understanding that freedom isn't free, and it's okay to disagree.
You and your wife get along all the time. You can't even get along with the closest person in your life 100% of the time. We're never all going to get along all the time.
Veterans say it's important to remember this country itself was born out of conflict. And when it's something you love, it's worth fighting for.
This is the greatest experiment in government in the history of the world. Don't give up on it.
One of the veterans Gordon spoke with also pointed out we have seen division in this country before, during the Vietnam War, the Civil War, and our democracy survived. So they're hopeful we'll find a way to come together again. On our way to break, we need to take another look at these incredible pictures you've been sending us from the Northern Lights show last night in the metro. They were so bright that people even in the city of Minneapolis could see them, even with all the light pollution. Keep your eyes on the skies tonight. The geomagnetic storm that caused these lights is still going strong and could trigger another light show tonight. Stick with us. We have more news and weather coming up after the break.